Nobody can hear you. Nobody cares about you. Nothing will come of this.
One of the interesting things about the Squash Club is that it's a direct swath through Normieville. It's the biggest collection of normies that a guy like me can be around at any given time, because it is a opt-in club, right? It's not like I'm in the mall or a restaurant. It's people that choose to belong to this gym. But the one thing that I've always noticed there is that outside of complete price FOMO, which, may or may have come or didn't come this year, and complete price collapse, nobody there ever really cared about Bitcoin. You would think that, in fact, I'll take it one step further. Nobody there even knows I do these videos, let alone know about Bitcoin, or that there's someone that, knows a little about it. And outside of these kind of the volatility of price action, like the collapse or the, explosion of, they honestly don't care. And it's the greatest part about it is that I get to see, Plato's wall for normies, because there's legacy newspapers there, right? Like they get the Winnipeg Free Press, the Globe and Mail, I think the Sun, or maybe Gone, I don't know. But I see them all reading, like they're all, I would say that 60% of the people are probably boomers, right? And then, 30% are Gen Xers, and then, maybe 10% are younger, the Z's and millennials or whatever. But I see them all reading this paper. And yesterday I was waiting to play, and there's a bunch of papers. I'm like, oh, yeah, see what the hell's in this paper. And I looked and I didn't see, one thing about Bitcoin or macro finance. It had little topical bullshits of really inconsequential stuff. But what was even more fascinating is that there was not one article about Epstein, or the Epstein files. There was not one. And I thought, I remember last week I said, the crazy part about Bitcoiners is that, this Epstein stuff's coming out, and we're like, yeah, we've been kind of talking about this. We've all known about it for years. It's almost like this dark elephant that you have to acknowledge every now and then, that this does exist in our world. And then not one person really ever strikes up the conversation about Epstein. In fact, most people, I shouldn't say most people, but a lot of these people don't even know. Like you got to ask yourself, do you really believe that the majority of people don't even know? And then yesterday was a weird day, because I got a lot of phone calls from dudes, which I barely answer my phone. And the fact that there was three conversations that I've had on the phone, which is weird. And they were, none of them were normies, right? They were all very much awakened and tuned in to what's going on. But it dawned on me while I was having these conversations, like it's 2:30 in the afternoon, right? 2:30 in the afternoon. And he was kind of surprised at how little people knew about what was going on. And the crazy part is, it's not so crazy, it's actually easy to understand, is that the ability that him and I had at 2 or 2:30 to have this conversation, this 30-minute conversation, can't be had by, someone who's working, right? He's like a musician guy too. Has musical gigs that have a umbrella of a business. You know, it wouldn't look like your conventional business, but people hired him to do things musically, and that gives that type of person, the small business owner, the large business owner, a lot more time to have conversations about what's actually going on in the world. And if you think about everyone else that's in the world, it's not like that. And maybe they can, I don't know. It's been so long since the last job I had was a bartender, so that's a whole different, I've never really had a job in an office, so to speak. And so I'm just assuming you can't get on the horn for 30 minutes and talk to your buddy about Epstein, or dark frequencies or religion or religions. Right? I just assuming you can't do that. So right there, you're taking out 90% of the people, right? 90% of the people are actively working in a job for now. They probably won't be in 4 years, but for now they can't do it. And moreover, to the Bitcoin, the reason why, why I called the top at 106 was because no one cared about Bitcoin. That was my black swan I've been talking about it forever. Getting over 100K and literally nobody caring. It was unbelievable to me. It was so, I couldn't believe it. Right? I thought something weird had happened, like something had broken in the universe. How can we be over 100K and nobody cares? Right? So that was all I needed to. I didn't need to look at the volume. I didn't need to look at the stochastics. That was the only signal that was so loud and clear that that was probably going to be the top-ish for that market. Because you can't have price going up if literally nobody cares. And when the law of large numbers come into effect, like 100K, for that person who can't be on the horn for 30 minutes talking about dark frequencies, Epstein, Austrian economics, you know what I mean? Like the conversation that you guys probably have with your mutual friends. They're not buying something at 100K. In fact, they're not buying anything at any price. Most of these people like that are working and not having these conversations their time horizon is so short because of being employed, right? 2 weeks, month, bi-monthly, whatever they get paid. That's their time allowance. And it's all I like. My white collar friends are broke, which is a funny thing to say. I mean, they're not broke. They all drive a nice house. They have a nice house. They have a nice car. They have nice things. They're never hungry, but they're still broke. Like 1 month, let's say AI. So let's take a doctor, for instance. I know a bunch of doctors who are specialized doctors. They make, they're the high-end doctors. Like one's a kidney doctor. I think he makes 600, 700K. So in Canada, in a communist country, that's a lot of money for a government worker. Not as much as a politician, but it's a lot. Now, if he were to lose that job, I don't know if that would ever happen in the next 5 years. Maybe with AI, or maybe he becomes the one manager of the AI because he's the top kidney doctor. Everything he has is gone in a month. Like I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, 3 months. But these white collar workers, the reason why they're broke essentially is that they've lived up to their salary. When he made 150K, he lived this way. When he jumped to 300, he started living this way. Then he had then he got married, and now he has to make this much more money. Then he has kids. Now he's got to make. Now he's just maxed out. And so you take that back to the normies who, don't know if they can pay for their existing month with a job, and then you realize why nobody really cares. It's really about self-preservation at this point. And plus the speculation of the future has been so weird when you think about how bleak the new future appears, right? With AI. Like you can't fade what we don't know about AI coming with the with the taking of jobs. And we can't, it's hard to fathom what jobs are untouchable, right? Because everyone thinks they're kind of irreplaceable, but nobody is. I've seen it already with some of the things I did, like with auctioning. The writing was on the wall with auctioneering. It's like, you don't need this clickety big guy at the top. Like, so the last time, my last ending auctioneering thing, there was no one in there. You know, it went from me auctioneering to actual humans to no one there. You know, at that point I could have been in here, you know, in this downstairs bedroom doing it. So that's how fast that changed. And now it went from, 7 lanes to like two lanes. Roofing in the summer, I can see robots doing that in a heartbeat. I actually did roofing. One of my weird summer gigs in between one of my bridge gigs. You know, when you have no money coming in and then your buddy says, hey, you want a roof? You're like, well, okay. I made a deal with him. It's like, listen, it was actually building a garage. So like, listen, once the garage is built, I'll make you a deal. I'll take the roofing tiles up because it's a horrible job, right? Now they usually get a thing, but that didn't have it when I was doing it. So I would like bust my ass for 30 minutes up and down this dangerous ladder, getting these roofing things up and then I was done. And then they had to do it. In a weird way, I kind of liked it. Like I think as men, we like progress. Like we like to see completion. So it was interesting to go there, nothing there, and then leave at 1 and there's a garage. You know, but a lot of the things that my theory anyway is that a lot of the things that can't be AI'd will start to be produced from the get-go with AI. So like, I don't think plumbers are going anywhere. As long as there's legacy buildings with legacy plumbing. But I think we'll see new production that have it all built in, right? Like plumbing is part of there isn't like, when there's a GC, a general contractor is like organizing the plumber, the electrician, the foundation, they all kind of work and it's a nightmare for them because they're all like drug addicts or drunks, right? So then they need plumbing to come here or electrician, and all these, like the dominoes can't fall. It'll just be into the build. The whole build will be AI, and then AI will know when something's wrong with whatever, and it'll just course correct. But that's probably, I'd say 10 years into the future. And even at that, there's still going to be legacy houses, right? But if you take a look at, your city, what I noticed, we have this in this city. We have this area called River Heights. It's like people like to live there. Very lots of trees, lots of green, central. And what's happening is that all the old houses are just being bought and torn down, and these weird kind of cookie cutter multiplexes are coming in, like a Mindup Max Quad, right? But in its footprint. Like this little, what would be 1,100 square foot bungalow is being torn down, and like a duplex is putting up like really tall, right? And so that's probably just always going to happen. People are just going to buy these old houses and put it up. But at the end of the day, one of the reasons the price has to come down, and I'm not even sure. Let's take that $29K. If it came down to $29K, you know who's going to find that super juicy? You and I. People who understand the value proposition that Bitcoin has, right? And as the price comes down, the value proposition erodes. Even in our minds, we start questioning, what the fuck, blah, 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 blah. So you can imagine if we understand the value proposition and we second guess it. Imagine the person who doesn't know anything about it. All he sees is price going down, get the hell out, right? It's easy to understand. So even at $29K, when it'll be as juicy as F, it'll only be us We'll get it, the institutions too. There's I think that's been infiltrated by, pseudo orange-pilled Bitcoiners that are maybe running the show. That's me being optimistic. But still the normies, 29K, it might as well be 29 million, right? Because first of all, they don't understand that you don't need to buy a Bitcoin like it's sitting on the shelf. It's like in a car. Like you got to buy the car, right? This is what people think, right? We just take it for granted that people understand. No. It's made up of 100 million Satoshis. You can get it. You can buy $1 a day. We get that, but it took a long time for us to get that too, right? But they never will, because at 29K, it's still too much for them to fathom. It's just a law of large numbers. It's as simple as that. But, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Kenny, I'm not waiting for 29K. It may not get there. Yeah, well, that's to me, that's the beauty of my thesis, is that if I have X equals $100 package at 29K and it doesn't hit, well, things are pretty good. It's like planning a summer trip, and if it rains, you have all this shit. Well, if it didn't rain, oh, great. Well, the vacation's even better, right? Lasers go pew pew. Grok, if I have 138 IQ and the average person has a 98 IQ, how long will it take the average person to understand the full value proposition of Bitcoin? You know what? I'm going to speak for Grok. I don't know if they ever will. Because I think what has to happen is there has to be a forced need. I think the majority of us kind of got in here due to some sort of trauma, whether it was economic trauma, or esoteric trauma. Something drove us here, right? We're just not, it wasn't like we were normies doom scrolling and saw a video on Bitcoin. It's like, cool, right? Usually something happened that drove you to find answers, right? And then the drive to find answers is where you gain the knowledge of the value proposition. So that doctor I was talking about, the 600K, he's not driven to a need. I talk to him about Bitcoin all the time. The only thing he says is he has remorse and Schadenfreude, right? So he was remorseful when price went from 15.5 to 126. I should have listened to you. I don't know what I was thinking, right? And then as it came down, it was Schadenfreude. And it was like, how's that Bitcoin doing for you? It's down to 60K or something like that, right? Not that it matters to him, but he just knows these numbers. So the normie basically goes from remorse to Schadenfreude. That's it. Two very low frequencies, right? They're almost at the basement of how humans, kind of live. Daddy O. The people that say they can't afford to DCA even $1 need to get off social media and find that $1. People are so full of shit. Yeah, I agree, but that comes with sophistication, right? So I get it, and I agree. But in order for me to DCA $1, I needed to know about the Lightning Network. I needed to have Wallet of Satoshi. I needed to have an exchange that had reoccurring buys. So for me, that was bingo, bango, bongo. But for Johnny Normie, who doesn't even know Epstein exists, think about this. Think about this conversation. Hey, Johnny Normie. I just thought I'd tell you, you should DCA $1 into Bitcoin. It's super easy. You just go to an exchange of your choice, make sure it has recurring bias, right? And then you attach it to, you get your receive code from your Wallet of Satoshi or any Lightning Network application. There's a receive code. You can either it's a QR code that you could probably take a picture of, or you could, copy paste it. Anyone can see this code because it's basically a receive code. Then you put it into your exchange that has reoccurring bias, and then you set it for $1 a day or, $30 a month. It's that easy, right? For us, we understand it, and it is easy, right? But that is layer 6. of, sophistication in Bitcoin. Like you have, there's a lot of things you got to conquer before you get to layer 6. Now this is the 4-hour chart, basically doing nothing. We're almost in, the summer bummer. We could probably do a channel or a triangle of descension. You know where these go, right? We have been basically pushing at resistance of this triangle since the rejection zone that we didn't really hit, right? Now, I would expect it to break bullish, but we always have to keep our eyes on 74.5. This is the rejection zone. This is maybe, I won't say that. I don't want anyone to do anything like that. And if we get rejected, we'll probably go back down and test 60. Now, one thing, is that the 200 moving average? 60K? Yeah, that is. Oh, yeah, almost. One thing that we have to take into consideration is that the seasonality in time, things are moving a little faster. Let's just agree to that. Put it on the shelf. Things are moving faster. But it doesn't mean they stop faster. We could move down fast here, this 50% thing, and sit here for 6 or 7 months before we get a final drop, right? Because you gotta ask yourself and be completely honest. Do you think it's over? Like, if you really think of it, most of us have been here for 2022. We can get there. We can get into our minds. The thing about 22 is that it always got worse, right? And just when you think it couldn't get worse, it got the worst and went to 15.5, right? Does 60K, 50% drop really feel like the worst? To me, it doesn't. To me, it feels bad, but it doesn't feel like the worst. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of waiting for the worst. But it doesn't mean it's going to come right away. We want it to, because we want the pain to be over, because we know what's coming, right? We all know what's coming, so let's just make it happen. Unfortunately, Bitcoin doesn't do what we want when we want. It does what it wants when it wants to. So keep in mind the summer bummer. I'm kind of looking at a last little gasp of movement for... I don't think it'll be to the upside. If it is, I think it's 74.5, and then that is the bull trap, so to speak. And then the summer bummer, where we cascade. Now, if we want to go down is everything happening faster than normal? I guess the most credence I'd give to it, and what do I know, right? Is that maybe we see the bottom in August instead of September, although September is historically the worst month. But we know now, after this bull run, that a lot of historical precedents do not have to pan out. A lot of correlations don't need to be correlated and no longer are, right? We know that. This is what we learned this bull market, right? We always get a little more sophisticated, and hopefully that people come out of this bull run not listening to unremarkable retard actors selling you shit on the news. But I don't know, maybe that's just a staple of society. They sell you what they tell you what they want you to know. They want you to know they want you to think that Bitcoin goes to $1 million. It's only us, right? Like, nobody else has seen that. And at the same time, that same media establishment is not showing anything about Epstein. Can you think about it? Think about that for 1 second. They're not showing anything about Epstein. It's like the craziest thing to happen to humans since the Dark Ages, maybe, since we slowly became civilized. It's the craziest thing, the darkest thing. I mean, it does. I think if this pans out, this could bring on a small little dark age, or nothing happens, right? Because when I was that Pam Bondi thing that was going around yesterday, it was to me it was a shame ritual. right? Humiliation ritual for her. And she knew she had the Faustian bargain to get in, and they all know, or you're gonna have a shame cycle. We're gonna sit you in front of here, and we're gonna accuse you of a bunch of stuff, and it's gonna be hard. And that's what she did. But she was a real, C*NT when watching it. I was like, ooh, what a breath of fresh air this demon is. And what it also was their karmic responsibility, right? They're letting you know everything that happened, so you now become complicit. So you have to beware when you're listening to this, is that you're now complicit because you know, right? So if you know and there's inaction, you're complicit and they move forward. Like you can negate the inaction just by educating people, like tell your normies. I think you maybe become less complicit to a certain degree, or are you now an instrument of amplification for their karmic responsibility? They just get people like me to talk to the normies, and now I become their minion, their useful idiot. So that's a lot of the things that are going on right now. Because I remember the first little bit, they were like, "You did this, this is happening. You did this is happening," and then it was like 5 minutes of basically telling the world what's going on, and that is the soft disclosure that you are supposed to hear all at once and get outraged and develop planned helplessness. Like, what? This is so sad. What? I can't believe it. Something's got to change here. This is incredible, right? And then nothing does, and so you're just sandwiched and compounded back into your plantation where you can't really do anything. James on random. Financials across the board are flashing rare signals. Your guess is as good as mine. Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like, if there's one thing I've taken from this bull run, is that I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've done. Nobody, and I mean nobody, knows anything about what the markets are going to do. Nobody. All these legacy analysts, these professional economists, these punters on CNBC, none of them know anything. In fact, they're all kind of contrarian signals. I mean, if I see one more Samson Mao or Tom Lee $1 million Bitcoin prediction by March 2026, yeah, I'm probably going to blow a gasket.
Make sure you like